Texas just dominates this game on the ground. 4 runs of 20-plus yards, 3 touchdowns longer than 15 yards, nearly 300 yards rushing between Wisner and Blue, 6.1 yards per carry. Some injuries.
I saw Quinn had a nice little scramble in there too. Now I saw Quinn getting mobile.
Yeah. So Damien, you didn't catch all the game live because you were in transit, but you've seen a lot of the clips and everything that happened. Initial thoughts: Texas takes care of business. They cover the 12.5 points that they were favored by, just barely. How did that game play out relative to maybe what you were expecting?
Well, I think we got to start right where you left it off. I mean, the way they dominated the trenches, especially the offensive line, and the way they were able to spring these backs and open up holes. I mean, this is what we wanted to see. We knew that Texas had the talent at the quarterback position in Quinn and Arch. We knew they had the receivers. Defensively, they're great, but we really wanted to see this run game open up. That's exactly what they did. And, earlier in the week on our pod, I had talked about Texas not playing with an attitude. When you run for 6.1 yards a carry and almost 300 yards, that's playing with an attitude. That's the guys up front saying, we're going to dominate the guys in front of us. We're going to protect our quarterback. We're going to open up run lanes, and we're just going to lean on people. And that's exactly what they did. Defensively, they played great. I thought Quinn looked a little bit better today. He looked more mobile, like I mentioned. He had a scramble. He looked a little bit more mobile in the pocket. Always respectfully a good decision maker, but I thought he continued with that today, made some good throws. So, this is a step in the right direction for Texas. Not only is this a win and you advance to the next round, but I felt like I saw improvement from this team. I talked about it. This is a team that's full of talent, but they're not playing to it. Well, when you can have the success that you did on the ground today and you can shut out a really good Clemson team, I think we didn't respect them enough because they kind of skated their way in. They found a way in, but Clemson was a good team, and they always play best when their backs are against the wall. Dabo coaches his best when his back is against the wall, and it transitions down to his players. But Texas handled them pretty convincingly. I know it got close at times, but it seemed like they dominated for most parts of the game, and they were able to come out with a convincing win.
Yeah. By the way, I forgot to mention at the top, I'm coming live from State College, Pennsylvania. I was at Penn State SMU.
We're all over the place.
Shout out to Audrey Snyder, our Penn State writer. I'm currently doing this podcast from her house and staying here, unlike pretty much anybody else, because there's nowhere to stay in State College when it comes to a game. But as far as Texas, I mean, if Texas can run the ball, they can win the national championship. That is this was a Texas run game we saw against Texas A&M to close the regular season when they ran all over the Aggies. And you're thinking, all right, they can get this kind of stuff from Wisner and with that offensive line, even if it's banged up, with that defense that Texas has, that's a team that can do anything. But then you go face Georgia again, and you again cannot run the ball. And Quinn Ewers has some turnovers. So as long as Texas is not playing Georgia, they seem to be fine. They seem to be pretty good. It's just when they go up against the Dogs, who have a defensive front that very few teams can match. And spoiler alert, I don't think Arizona State has that kind of front. They're in a pretty good spot. And Texas's defensive line holds Clemson to 76 rushing yards, 3.2 per carry. You knew they would kind of be able to handle that side of it. Cade Klubnik made some plays in the pass game. You can see, moving forward, the makings of what could be a really good pass game here. I thought Garrett Riley, the offensive coordinator, put together a pretty good game plan, all things considered. But Clemson goes 3 for 12 on third down, 1 for 3 on fourth down. There's the goal line stand late in the game that keeps it a 14-point game, basically ended the game at that point. And it was completely reminiscent of Texas's goal line stand against Texas A&M at the end of the regular season, with a chance to cut it to one score late and kind of hang around in this thing. The Texas defensive front stands up in a big way. Quinn Ewers, you said coming into this playoff that you kind of wanted Arch Manning to be the guy moving forward. Arch came in, played a little bit, mostly the running game. It was kind of a fumbled snap on a fourth down. Quinn completes 71% of his passes. The one interception was the wide receiver dropped it. That's not on Quinn. How are you feeling about Quinn Ewers coming out of this performance?
I feel a lot better about Quinn than I did going into this matchup. And I think that, again, I talked about Texas making steps, as a team, but Quinn definitely made a step in the right direction and, showing what he has as far as being able to lead this team and being able to play good football and lead this offense. I still think that they need to inject Arch Manning into this game because at the end of the day, like how many teams, Chris, have we talked about all season long that use a 2-quarterback system? I mean, Penn State was doing it before Purbulla hit the transfer portal. They've done it at Texas A&M. Like they've done it almost all over the country. They did it at Florida. They've done it so many different places. And I complained about it at first, but I've seen its advantages and I've seen the way that it takes pressure off of certain guys. And I think that could take pressure off of both of them. I think it can take pressure off of Quinn to always make the right decision, to always be mobile in the pocket whenever, the pocket can collapse or a team brings pressure. But I also think it takes some pressure off of Arch. Like he's a young guy and I'm sure he's eager to get in the game on the sideline and not to take Quinn's job, but to help the team win. So give him some opportunities. Let him go out there and show that athleticism, show that swagger, show that toughness. He's from the boot. He's a New Orleans kid. Let him show that and let him bring like an extra jolt of energy to this team. And I think that the way that Sark has handled the quarterback position all year has been great. I've questioned it at times, but I think respectively, the way that he respects Quinn, the way that he respects Arch, he's handled it in a very classy way. Like he's handled it perfectly. But I think it's time to start utilizing both of these guys because you can't tell me that if you got two of the best quarterbacks in the country and they have such a great and cohesive relationship that you can't use them interchangeably at certain parts in the game to give you competitive advantages, whether it's getting Arch Manning in the game in the red zone or, just getting him to mix up some looks. And then you get him in a run formation. And then we know Arch can throw the ball. He's a Manning. We know he can throw the ball. It's just another tool in your toolbox. I think if they use both guys, it can be conducive for them in the future.
So injury-wise on the Texas front, Kelvin Banks Jr., the really good left tackle, did play in the game, played pretty well. But center Jake Majors was hurt midway through the game as well. Isaiah Bond, the wide receiver, did not play. And I think that was kind of a theme from these first-round games. A lot of guys banged up, a lot of guys hurt. You saw it pretty much all the first-round games. Notre Dame's got a couple of guys. We'll see. I mean, how big is that to lose guys in the first round and not have the first round bye? To me, that shows you the value of the first round bye. This was the whole point. This is a game of attrition, a war of attrition football. You're going to have to win 3 or 4 games in a very short amount of time to win the national championship. And anytime you can just avoid playing a game and get that first round bye, that's pretty big. Are you concerned at all about Texas's injuries with Bond? We'll see how he is in a couple of weeks. If you're losing your center, you've gone many times on this podcast about the importance of a center. Are you concerned at all about some of those Texas injuries?
I definitely am, starting with the center, just because that's your anchor. That is the start, the line of communication from the ball to the quarterback, and then the quarterback spits that information out to the receivers, to the tight ends, to the running back. But it starts with the center. So having a guy that has played a lot of football, that has seen a lot of different things, seen a lot of these looks, and has a good relationship with these quarterbacks can communicate all the different things that he sees. That's vital to an offense. That's vital to getting the quarterback on the same page. That way he can get all the other guys on the same page. And then obviously Isaiah Bond, like this is a pass first team. As much as we love the fact that they ran the ball well today, this is a pass first team. Sark has been that way his entire career. He was that way at USC. He brought a little bit of that to Bama when I was there. That's just kind of his pedigree. So having a guy like Isaiah Bond, who really is their number one target, in my opinion, not having him on the field, it puts you at a disadvantage. That's one less weapon for Arch, for Quinn, whoever's at quarterback. So you want to get these guys healthy. Hopefully they live in the training room the next couple of days and, they'll be ready for the next playoff game.